Hi, everybody. This is Barbara Marison from joyandsuccess.com. And I have with me from Australia, I know I say this, I love talking to people in Australia. Her name is Sarah mccrum. And we're going to talk about money today. And I want to introduce her. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Barbara.
And so I had mentioned about money, that I know you talk a lot about the energy of money. How did you get started? And what brought you to the energy of money? And how long have you been doing it?
Well, it started back in 2010 completely by surprise. I had no expectation to be doing anything with the energy of money. But I was at a very difficult point in my life because I just had a business fail, and so I didn't have any money.
Mm.
And I was given a little book about money, and it had exercises in it. And one of the exercises said, "What would money like to say to you?"
Mm.
And so I just started writing in my notebook, and it was as if my pen took over from me and started writing for me. And what it wrote was different from anything that I would have written myself. And the first words that I saw it write, bearing in mind this was asking what would money like to say to you, the first words were, "I would like to tell you to love me."
Mm.
And I was really surprised. I'd never would have imagined that money would say, "Love me." And it went on and described itself over about 2 pages of handwritten notes,
Wow.
saying that it's an energy, that it's very powerful and beautiful, that it serves human beings, that it's here to help us and to connect us through our creativity, and that we're way too afraid of it and too rigid, and that we need to open ourselves up, open our hearts. And literally, it says, "Take me." It's like, take, receive money if we want to. Not because money is everything. What it actually says is, you will win not only me, which is money, but life also. And that was, I didn't understand it at the time, but since then it's been, wow, 10 years. 10 years
Wow.
since I started writing. And that's what I discovered, was that in some strange way, opening up my relationship with money opened up my relationship with life. And so I can really say that what it said was true. You will win not only me, but life also. And so that's actually how I got started. I had no money. I wrote this message. I then tried asking the question again to money many times over the next few months. I ended up writing a whole book, which I called Love Money, Money Loves You.
Mm.
And that became the basis then of, first of all, my own personal exploration, because I needed to understand it and be able to apply it in my own life, and then sharing that with other people.
Mm. That's really fascinating, because so we are afraid of money, and we're very stressed about money. And why do you think that is? And why can't we have a loving, why are we afraid to have a loving relationship, or even think that that's a possibility?
I think we've learnt to be afraid because there are many unexamined aspects of money in our society. So, from religion and spirituality, we have stereotypes of money that tend to be about rejecting it. Buddhism tells you not to have any desires. Now, most of us have desires for money, so clearly we're not supposed to do that. And we see images of monks with begging bowls. So, it's a picture of poverty making you into a virtuous person. You get the same with Christianity on the whole. It's not necessarily the whole story, but it tends to be what we remember. I certainly remember from school, I came away from it feeling like if I was poor, I was more favored by God than if I was rich, fundamentally, and that there's a kind of virtue in poverty that doesn't seem to exist with wealth. And these are very crass stereotypes in a way, but if you mix that together with most people's experience of money, which has been that it's hard, it's scarce, that some people make a lot of it and it seems to be very mysterious how they do, and other people make very little, often in the same company, so it feels very unfair, unfairly distributed. And then you have communist countries that try to do it differently, but there's so much control involved. Whichever way you look at money, I'm not surprised it doesn't have a good reputation. And when something's so difficult to deal with, we tend to be afraid, as well as having been taught to be afraid. I don't think we need to be. In fact, I know from my experience we don't need to be. And people who I teach all say, I'm not afraid about any money anymore, and I'm not worried about it. But we need to understand better what it is to be able to get there.
And I think because people are so afraid of it and they do so many really sad, scary things, and a lot of killing and kidnapping and things like that, and give it more of a bad name.
Well, those are the really, really extreme things that happen around money, of course, and they hit the news. I don't suppose there's a lot of kidnappings, really, but there are some. But I think on a more regular basis, most of us will find ourselves doing what we might deem to be bad things with money. Most of us have probably had experiences like getting into debt that we couldn't pay off, or feeling so challenged when we couldn't pay a debt that we didn't dare to make the phone call that would explain what was happening. Or when I was a child, we used to pick up money from my parents, used to leave it dotted around the house. We used to think that that was our money, so we felt like we could help ourselves to it. I would say most of us as adults don't always actually behave in a really transparent, clean way with money because we have that fear. And if you take that to the extremes, you end up with serious manipulation and abuse of power with money. But it's all part of the same behavior, actually. And that's one of the things I've come to learn is not to judge so much those extremes, but to really look at myself and clean up my own act with money.
And how do people do that? I know that there's so much that people are living paycheck to paycheck or have a lot of debt or and they don't. I know, like when the pandemic first started, there were lines for money for food, and a lot of people don't have enough food. How do people start to think, well, maybe first of all realize that they've created whatever situation they're in, and that they can get out if they can look at money in a different way? How can people start to do that?
So I think the key, first of all, is about being able to take responsibility, whatever your situation. I actually don't think that it's quite as simple as you create your own reality because it's very, very clear that many things happen to us during life, that it could be at a subtle level. We have attracted, but we're interconnected with so much else, and we're part of something that's so much bigger. So it seems to me that there are bigger waves going on as well as the smaller waves. And so if I only look at my own waves, I only see a part of the picture, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of something much bigger as well. But I am very clear that how we respond to it is important, and also that we have a huge influence over what happens to us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that it's not true that we create our own reality, but it's also not the whole truth. I think there's a much richer picture than that. What I can see is that we can take responsibility in any situation. And there's a very interesting interview with a guy called Zach Bush, who was a doctor, or is a doctor, but got very interested in soil health. And so he went to a very, very poor community to work to see if he could get people eating better quality food by growing it themselves, to improve their health outcomes. And it's interesting because everybody said, you can't do that, there's no way, it's a food desert. But actually, in that community, the grandparents all knew how to grow food because they'd done that when they were young. And so there was a lot of knowledge about growing food, and people adopted it really, really easily.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we think we can't do anything when we can, or we say, I live in a city and so I can't grow food. But there are wonderful examples, Detroit being one of them, as I understand, in the States, where there's a lot of food grown now in the city, and there are ways that we can do things if we have the will to do it. So I think the very first thing is about taking responsibility for your situation, even if it's really, really appalling. Not blame, there's no blame to be attributed anyway, but to recognize that you are the best person to do something about it.
I guess like if people say like I want to change the situation that I'm in, and how can I go about doing that, and how to start, not blaming themselves for being it, like you said, like so many
Yeah.
past lives, families, whatever, but like to say, what can I do to start to change things? And
So yeah, I think there are two really important things. One is actually to learn to relax about money itself. That
mm,
was one of the things I learned very much from my book, and I teach everybody, is how to relax. And when you relax about money, whether you have it or you don't have it, it gets easier. Worrying about money doesn't bring it in. In fact, if anything, it keeps it away. At best, it's neutral, but I would say it's actually much worse than neutral. It actually, it's like almost like it creates an invisible wall around you that says, "Don't come in." And so that I can think of somebody actually who was in really difficult straits with money and had been for years. And he did a course, and he was so worried about money that it was like that invisible wall was there. And when he relaxed about it, he discovered that there was an organization that had been trying to pay him for more than a year
Mm.
and had simply not been able to connect it up. I don't know if they didn't find his address or what it was. The minute he relaxed about it, they did find him and they paid him, and he had a whole year's worth of royalty payments that came in straight away. Now, it doesn't prove anything, but these stories happen all the time, and to me, there's a very clear connection. When that wall's up, it's almost like there's an invisible difficulty, and we can all relate to that. We all know when somebody's very closed and you can't get close to them. Money's really similar. It's like it can't get close to you if you're very close to it. So the
Mm.
first thing is to relax, and the other thing is to be quite practical about it. So to recognize that there is always money available. It's always possible. It's always possible to find more money. It's always possible to do something in some way that will bring you money. And so you need to, first of all, understand that, and then and kind of wake up to it. Because once you wake up to it, once you say, okay, I'm responsible, there is more money somehow, there's going to be something that I can do, it opens you to ideas, to help, to opportunities, to all kinds of things. Whereas if your mindset is, there's no way, I can't do anything, I live in a food desert, or I'm on social security, or there's no money for me, you don't even look for it. The minute you start to look for it and be open to it, something changes. And it's almost as if money's trying to come towards you. And that's actually what I learned from writing my book, is that that's really how it works.
How did, like, when you were saying to relax, like when people are so worried and uptight, how do they relax? Like, what does first just say?
Shall I
How
show you? Shall we
yeah,
do it?
yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, let's take 5 minutes or so and I'll actually lead you. Now, the words that I'm saying are words that you could say to yourself, or you
Okay.
can listen to somebody else. My YouTube channel has relaxations on it. But this is literally how I do it, only I just say it to myself. Okay, so
Okay.
close your eyes and sit on your chair so that the chair is holding your weight.
Okay.
Let the weight of your body drop down and breathe into your lower belly. Often we breathe into our chest, the top of our chest. Feel your belly expanding as you breathe in and contracting as you breathe out. And I'm going to lead you through a very simple relaxation that is at first physical, but when you feel more relaxed physically, you can also feel more relaxed about money and everything else. So relax your lower belly and your lower back. And you actually don't need to do anything except listen, because your body will respond to my words. Relax your hips and your legs and your feet. Relax your back, your spine. Relax your chest and especially your heart. Relax your shoulders and your arms and your hands. Relax your neck and your throat, your face, and your head. And as you relax here, let's take a few minutes to feel the energy of money. You may feel it like a presence, as if there's something here which you can't touch, but you can sense. You may feel it like a warmth, a feeling of gentleness and generosity. Money is an energy that is all around us all the time and inside us. It's a beautiful, generous, loving energy. And you may be able to feel it quite tangibly now, at a subtle level. See if you can feel the quality of the energy of money for you. What does it feel like? Does it feel like something to be afraid of? Or can you feel how it supports you? How it responds to you? How it enables you to share your work, your contribution, your creativity. And to receive from others. Can you sense the freedom that money brings you? And the joy. The joy of connecting with this beautiful energy and allowing it to flow through your life. With generosity. And so maybe you can see that even in just a few minutes, it's possible to switch from being stressed or worried or afraid to relaxing and trusting and feeling comfortable with the energy of money. So take this energy with you into your life as we come to an end now. And you can gently open your eyes.
Wow, that was amazing. I felt when you were talking about the money, I felt like a warm blanket around me.
Yeah.
And then dancing when you were talking about going to out there in the world, like just out there dancing with money. Oh wow, that felt really good.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's the kind of relationship we can have. It takes some practice because it's not what we're used to. But as you grow that kind of feeling that money is not your enemy, it's your friend, that money is not here to hurt you or to make you suffer, it's actually here to support you. And as you learn how to open to it more and create opportunities for money and to let go of the old stories of poverty and scarcity and difficulty and hard work, then gradually, more and more, you have that kind of feeling around money. It feels good, and if it feels good, of course you're going to welcome it into your life. If it
mhm.
feels bad, of course you're going to have this torn relationship. I need it, but I reject it. Very, very difficult. So we need to feel good and relaxed and happy about it.
Yeah, I mean that was really. I know years ago I did a teleseminar course on money is love. It was a book that was called Money is Love, and I think like through the years getting myself more familiar with it because I grew up like everybody else in scarcity and poverty and all that kind of stuff. And just like this whole new thinking that money is love and not to be afraid of it and to really enjoy it and to feel good around it. And I think that this what you just did was just like amazing. Like showing us how to do that because just to say I'm going to relax around money, it's like it doesn't work. But what you just did is amazing.
Yeah, that's why I always teach people how to do it because if we knew how to do it, we'd already be doing it. That's for sure.
Right, right. And do you find like people like when they first come to you say that's not possible. I can't possibly relax around money or stop worrying about it.
Not usually. By the time people come to me, they normally have heard me speak in something like this, what you're doing now, and so they know that there's another way you can relate to money. So by the time I get to meet them, usually they're curious. It's like, really, I really want that. I really want to find a different way. I want to have a different relationship with money.
And
Um,
does it take time or do you think can people get it just like that or does it they need to keep on practicing it over and over again before they feel that?
It's both. It's both. It of course it takes time to learn anything. It takes time to change habits, especially habits of thinking. Um, but at the same time, you relaxed immediately. Many people listening to this will have relaxed immediately because you can. There will be some people listening to this who will immediately get a financial result. Something will happen in their life. They will get some surprise money, or somebody will give them something they've been wanting for a long time, because that's what happens when you relax about money. It's like life is looking after you more. That's what you feel. So literally you can get results as soon as you start to do it. Some people find it a lot easier than other people. That's for sure. So it's one of those things where it's rather like learning a language. When you first learn a language, if I've just learned to say hello, I can say hello, so I've already got a skill. If I can string 10 sentences together, I can already communicate a little bit. So it's kind of like that with money, that everything you learn gives you something. And
Hmm.
then the further you go, the more you can create with it.
And should like with you writing to money or talking to money, like people should start having a dialogue with money and talking to money.
Yeah, some people do that. I know lots of people actually now who have conversations with money. Sometimes they read the book and it kind of stimulates it, but absolutely it's possible to do that.
Well, this was like really exciting and really fascinating, and I know all you guys out there are gonna be as relaxed as I got about money, and you're gonna feel that too. And how can people get in touch with you?
The simplest way is to go to my website, which is sarahmccrum.com, and I'll just spell that. It's sarahmccrum.com. And you can find everything that I do, all the courses, and there are free courses and cheap courses and expensive courses, basically. So you can find everything from the website.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll have all that on the website, and everybody just go to her website and get all that info. And thank you for so much for being here with us, and thank all of you for being here too. And just we'll see you next time.